It was a weekend that will be remembered forever in the history books as thousands watched bullets fly past the head of former President Donald Trump during a campaign rally. The investigation continues into the 20-year-old police believed to be the shooter, but many questions remain, including a motive.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Bullets whizzed past the former president's head on Saturday, leaving him with a bloody ear. Donald Trump only suffered minor injuries, but one man, Corey Comparator, was killed and 2 more people were critically injured. Comparator was a father, husband, a volunteer firefighter, and someone who friends and family described as a truly good man.
He was a good guy. He really was. You hear stories all the time that it's always the good ones that end up getting taken out, and unfortunately, that's what happened.
Community members say they're stunned.
I've lived here my whole life, and you just don't think that something like this would happen in your hometown. We even had an attempt on a president, an assassination attempt since Reagan in 1980, and now for it to happen in your backyard, you just don't expect that.
Law enforcement officials have identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. According to a senior law enforcement official today, Crooks purchased 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store just hours before he climbed on top of a nearby building and took aim at the former president. The AR-style weapon used by Crooks is now being traced back to his father, and a search of the shooter's vehicle revealed possible explosives in the trunk. FBI agents also searched his house today. A former classmate of Crooks describes him as quiet.
He was just very, very bland, didn't show no facial expressions, just very to himself.
Witnesses to the shooting say they saw Crooks before shots were fired and tried to alert law enforcement.
My wife ran up to law enforcement, was trying to tell them, where he was, but they couldn't seem to see him because they weren't in the right spot to see him on the roof.
Meanwhile, politicians across the aisle are calling for unity in this moment, including Trump himself, who wrote on Truth Social, "In this moment, it is more important than ever that we stand united and show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win." The State Department echoed that sentiment today.
We know today that people around the world, governments around the world, have questions about what happened on Saturday, just as Americans do. And our message to them is simple. As President Biden has made clear, there is no place for violence in our democracy, period.
President Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee, has ordered his campaign to pull down television ads and pause all outbound communications following the shooting.
Mr. Trump is a former president and nominee of the Republican Party, already receives a heightened level of security, and I've been consistent in my direction to the Secret Service to provide him with every resource, capability, and protective measure necessary to ensure his continued safety.
Trump's security will also be increased in light of the attack.
This includes enhancements related to securing the former president during the Republican National Convention this week.
The FBI is still working to determine a motive behind the attack, leaving many questions about how a gunman could get so close to the president, and also how the election will move forward as this act of political violence hangs above the race.